Welcome to Money Making Conversation. I am your host, Rashawn McDonald. It is important to understand that everybody travels a different path to success. That's because your brand is different. The challenges you face in your life will be different. So stop reading other people's success stories and really start writing your own. Now, you can be motivated by their success because their stories can offer direction and also give you an opportunity to see how they were successful at what they did. But it's about what you're trying to do with your life, how you plan it out, and what commitments that you make to your efforts. That's why I bring guests on my show, just like my next guest, who is Tommy Duncan. He started his first healthcare company at 26 years of age. Then he sold it. Then he started Trusted Health Plan, a Medicaid managed care company that insured 50,000 people between D.C. and Detroit. Then he sold that in January of 2020 to Blue Cross Blue Shield. A week later, he started JetDoc. JetDoc is a telehealth platform providing immediate virtual urgent care visits, plus access to 85% of the prescriptions at pharmacies across the country for either $20 per visit or $10 per month. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation. He's ever selling and he's ever moving. My man, Tommy Duncan. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Well, Tommy, first of all, at a young age, let's talk about your college background. Is there college in your past history, or you a guy who just has a strong entrepreneurial spirit?
No, I went to FAMU, Tallahassee.
Okay, FAMU, HBCU.
FAMU.
You know, I knew that, but I wanted you to have a little bit more energy behind it, man. Because you say FAMU, you got the marching bands.
I'm FAMU all the way.
Okay. Because you kind of
I think it's the most underrated HBCU. We always get second place to Howard, Morehouse.
Right.
But FAM is the truth. Well, and I'll tell you something. You may meet a lot of successful attorneys,
right?
Doctors that went to Howard,
right?
And these other HBCUs, which I'm a big supporter of all of them.
Right.
But when you find entrepreneurs that are successful in business, FAMU is where they come from.
Well, I can't argue with that. I think that when you look at what has happened this year with the COVID-19, somehow people have discovered, I say people, the general market, the general public, the donors have found HBCUs. Why do you think it's popped out like this? Why do you think the recognition for HBCUs being a critically acclaimed academic institution for African Americans or people of color?
I'll be open with you, man. In my travels in business, a lot of people go to majority schools and they find success. But in my experience, some of the most successful people went to HBCUs.
Right.
That's just, I'm talking about those that are high up in corporate America that I come in contact with, or those that are entrepreneurs. They went to an HBCU. Now, I talk a lot about FAM because that's where I went, but whether it be Howard, Morehouse, Hampton, I mean, you name them. A lot of successful people come out of HBCUs. And I think a lot of it is because I just think there's a competitiveness amongst our people,
right,
that in the HBCU environment just creates very successful, driven, gritty entrepreneurs and business people.
And I think it also helped when you looked at the fact that Kamala Harris, has been vice president-elect, is from HBCU, Howard. I come from Houston, Texas, so I'm surrounded by HBCU schools, Prairie View A&M, Texas Southern, Grambling, Southern, going down the line, Dillard, go up there, Jackson State. There's 12 HBCUs in the state of Alabama, which has the most HBCUs. Then North Carolina, I think, has the second most at 10. But they're based in that southeast part of the country. What invited you to come to an HBCU? What attracted you, I should say, to go to an HBCU?
So I went to a majority white high school, and I kept trying to persuade my mother to let me go to the school in the city, which where all my friends went and my girlfriends, but my mother won't let me do it. So FAMU in 1997, which is the year before I graduated high school, had won the Princeton Review top 10 business schools in the country.
Wow.
And the president at the time was coming to the Midwestern cities, Detroit, Chicago, and really marketing FAMU as a place for students to go to college. I found out about it, went to visit for homecoming. You know how that goes. I went for homecoming once and didn't want to go back home.
Come on now.
And that was it.
Homecoming. Now, Homecoming at a black school is homecoming. Yes. Okay.
Come on, man. I took a Greyhound. Bus.
Tell us about FAMU's first of all, FAMU has always been known for a marching band. FAMU has always been known for a successful football program. Okay. And now, to my understanding, they're going to the SWAC. They're transferring their football program to the SWAC, which is even more incredible because you got Deion Sanders down there in the SWAC with Jackson State. So I look at the SWAC as becoming like an SEC version of HBC for the HBCU, or a powerhouse where the top athletes are going to come and it's going to put them on the map. So that's what FAMU is about to get into. But the way I hear you talk from jump, Rashawn, it's about the academics. It's about that's what attracted you to. I went to homecoming, but the top business school in 1897 being recognized that is really what really caught the eye of your mom.
That's right. It was the School of Business and Industry, which has been acclaimed as being one of the best business schools in the country, agnostic to HBCU or otherwise. Mm-hmm. Dean Mobley created the program. And it just so happens that the year she retired is the year I graduated in 2003. Right. A lot of successful people came out of that program and still do. It's the School of Business and Industry. The program was so strong that every week we would have a CEO from a Fortune 500 company come and spend a full day with us. Wow. And I think that experience, and there's this program called Professional Development, which is all around the soft skills of leadership and confidence and entrepreneurship, because you can be an entrepreneur in corporate America, right? You don't have to own your own business to be an entrepreneur, but all of those tenets and skill sets we learned through that program. And I think more than anything, it gave us confidence to be leaders and to speak our mind and to have confidence in growing something.
Well, Tommy, you said something, because I always tell this to people. I always tell this about being entrepreneurs. I say a 40-hour week job really is the best training to be an entrepreneur, because you can't accomplish the responsibilities of a 40-hour week job, arriving to work on time, meeting your deadlines, being able to be accountable for the responsibilities that are given to you, and also working outside of that 40-hour window, then you won't be an entrepreneur. That's basically what you were saying when you said, hey, you could be an entrepreneur working a 40-hour week job, because the same responsibilities are built there if you want to become an entrepreneur. Am I defining that correctly?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. It's funny. I started entrepreneurship young. I was actually at FAM. I started like a little fried sandwich shop. And at one point, I was in the mall and I got into the airport. So I was 22 years old. I had a little sandwich shop in Tallahassee Airport.
Right.
So
and that's not easy, by the way, Tommy. That's not easy now.
No, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But I did that. And I've always had this entrepreneurial kind of spirit, if you want to call it that. And my parents were entrepreneurs, so I had that in my blood. But one of the best decisions I made is I started a small healthcare company that I sold, the one that you referenced earlier. I started when I was 26, sold when I was 27. But the company I sold to decided to buy my company for stock options and theirs. And so essentially it became a job offer with equity associated. And that was my training ground. And when I went to work for them, it was a corporate company, ended up on the New York Stock Exchange, called Accretive Health out of Chicago. I learned how to operate at the highest level of skill set in corporate America at that moment in time. And it was from that training that I took that to my most latest company that I just sold to Blue Cross Blue Shield on how to operate at the highest levels.
Right.
How to be analytical, how to in the world of big data, how to identify the data metrics that actually move the needle, and then how to create operational rigor around it to make sure we continue to improve our numbers across the board. And so when I sold my last company, Trusted, in our industry, the average Medicaid managed care company did 1% profit margin.
Right.
I was doing 10% profit margin.
Wow.
Smoking.
Right.
But I was smoking because of the skills I learned working for corporate America. So as you talk about the soft skills of showing up at work, coming early, staying late, and all that kind of stuff, critically important. but then learning how to operate at the highest level. Because when you operate high, you have higher performance and you should have higher profitability. And that's how you create value.
And that's really what you're saying right now. Interesting thing when I'm talking to you, Tommy, is like, first of all, where did it start? Because like you say, it's in your DNA because both of your parents were entrepreneur. But when did that DNA get into your system? You know what I'm saying? When you went, wow, I can be a self-made man. I can go out there and do what they do. Is it important? Because they were like mentors to you. They were parents, but they also were like mentors to you as well, correct?
Yeah, I think you aspire to what you're exposed to. Mm-hmm. And in my household and my parents' friends, there was a lot of entrepreneurship. So I always expected to own my own business. Matter of fact, I'm like the average entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. When I was in middle school, I had a psychic hotline in 8th grade. Remember back when you would actually have magazines and you'd have all the little ads in the back of the magazine?
Right.
Like, remember Cleo,
right.
Call Me Now?
Uh-huh.
I had one, I was in 8th grade, and so I had that. I went to FAMU, I had an ice cream truck because to my surprise, you go to Florida and there weren't many ice cream trucks.
Right.
So I had an ice cream truck, and so I did all kind of things.
So hold on, Tommy. The ice cream truck, that's the truck that come in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
stops traffic with kids now.
Yes.
Now talk about how you came about getting the ice cream truck, and what was the whole concept with making money? Because like I said, it's all about profit margin with you. Because I understand.
Anyway, so here's what happened. So I come to Florida, and there aren't many ice cream trucks.
Right.
Which, when you're from Detroit and it snows 9 months out the year,
right,
you can't understand how a place that's always hot doesn't have ice cream trucks.
Right.
So, but I was a freshman in college, and so I had a truck, so I converted it into an ice cream truck, and I would play Master P's Ice Cream Man. So a little more hood, a little more adult ice cream truck than the average one for kids.
Right.
But then I learned you got to have, that hot ice to keep it cold, and my stuff was melting. It became a disaster of a business.
Right. So how did we get to healthcare? So we went from ice cream to the little sandwich shop in the airport, Tallahassee Airport, to healthcare. What shifted you to that angle of business? Because
my parents were in healthcare, and all those other businesses all failed miserably.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So they were disasters. But I grew up in healthcare, and I just had confidence. I don't know. I came home to help so I graduated from FAMU in 2003 with my MBA, and I thought I was going to come home and take my family's business to the next level.
Right.
And instead, I came home and literally everything was on fire.
Right.
Within a year, everything went into bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. So, the business went out of business. Mm-hmm. The home I grew up in went into foreclosure. Mm-hmm. Everything was repossessed. It was like a disaster of a story, which I think is hard for most Black entrepreneurs and people is we're always starting over.
Right.
And I think we're starting over because there's a lack of true business guidance and mentorship. Because even my parents, who had a successful business through the 90s, lost everything by the early 2000s. But because I grew up in entrepreneurship, and everything went under, I thought I had a confidence I could go start my own company and kind of, rebuild the family business.
Right.
It didn't go exactly like that, but it ended up getting there through its own pathway. Mm-hmm.
Now, did your parents participate in the structuring of the business, on the board of your business? How are they tied to any of your business dealings today?
It's interesting, man. So my mother and stepfather were together through the 90s. Mm-hmm. And he was always an entrepreneur who got my mother into entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. She was a master in public health, so she just wanted to give people access to healthcare, but didn't really have the business experience.
Right.
So that relationship married them two together because he didn't finish high school, or certainly didn't go to college, but he had the entrepreneurial get up and go. My mother's education and
the academic background,
who she was a person, was a good marriage. But so what happened in 2004, so a year after I got out of school and everything completely went into the ground, I was in the kitchen of the house that went into foreclosure, and I was hugging my mother and stepfather. And I said, I'm going to pull us through this. Mm-hmm. And my stepfather kind of went his own direction. I think he got real hot in the kitchen. He decided to leave, kind of abdicated the throne, if you will. So my mother and I, when I started mine, and she helped me out. And then this business I just sold in DC, she was around to help me do it. So she's always been my secret weapon.
Right. It's really because we always talk about support, because somebody has to support you, and somebody has to be there, because, you can't be the smartest person in the room. We know that, but you also have to have somebody that's smarter than you that you can trust, and also a been there, done that type personality, and somebody that, can, I guess you can respond to this, Tommy, because being a leader, the worst part about being a leader, you can't show weakness. And then you have to pick and choose who you show weakness to. Because show weakness to the wrong people, then they can take it as a sign of failure or a sign of doubt or lack of confidence. So what was that for you as a leader, a guy who's building companies, selling companies in a very white world? Healthcare is white. Let's be real about it. But it also impacts the minority community strongly. And we're going to get to JetDoc in a minute. But talk about that support system of being a leader and being able to, build your brand, but also being able to have a place to relax, or take a deep breath, a place to pause.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think when you're on the entrepreneurial side of business, you quickly learn that the most important thing you have to do is make payroll.
Yes.
And so there's always the pressures of making payroll that come around, seem like, too quickly. But you can never show that you're sweating to make payroll, because if you lose that confidence in your people, then it's like the Titanic, You're not going to have folks fully committed, because they're looking for something that's more stable.
Yes.
But that aside, I think you have to fake it till you make it.
Yes.
I think you just got to keep pushing, keep showing face, keep having that faith that comes from within, to keep going and have confidence that you're going to make it no matter what. And just get up every day and go for it.
Well,
it's like this. Listen, man, I'm in my third healthcare company, probably my 10th business. I've had 1,000 of them. And I've had 2 successful companies in healthcare. One I created, sold it. The company I sold to went public and made $1.3 million when I was 30 years old. Then I started this one from scratch out of nothing. And I just sold it for 9 figures 6.5 years later. And I'm in another company, JetDoc, which is telehealth. So you see a doctor on his cell phone, $20 for urgent care visits virtually. And, you have access to pharmacies all across the country, 85% off your medications, every CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, you name it. And I'm struggling right now. It's my third one. And I thought it was going to be easy, but I'm back at it, back in the mix, sweating every day, questioning, why am I doing this? I don't have to do it.
Right.
I got a team depending on me. So, I think either you have it in you, and if you really have it in you, then you'll be doing it. If you really don't, then sooner or later you're going to give up the sticks.
Right. But, the thing about it, when one thinks about telehealth, which is was being able to talk to a doctor, because we didn't think about that prior to COVID-19. COVID-19 has brought that to, okay, this is the way to go see your doctor now. I know at the end of the year, I had that option. Do you want to talk to your doctor via Zoom, or do you want to come in? That's why I want to come in. I would not have said that in May now. Now, in December, I said I want to come in. I'm a lot more comfortable with the environment of how to take care of yourself going out in public in this new COVID world that we live in. Now, telehealth is, JetDoc, to explain to everybody, is a telehealth platform providing immediate virtual urgent care visits, plus access to up to 85% of the prescriptions at pharmacies across the country, like you said, Walgreens, CVS, for either $20 per visit or $10 per visit. Now, in the minority community, that 20 and that 10, my man, is priceless. It's like they say, how did that come about, and what celebrities involved in? Are you using celebrities or brands to get your product recognition out there?
Yeah. So this time last year, I was at the closing stages of selling Trusted
to Blue Cross Blue Shield, right?
About a year before that, I wrote a book on healthcare policy and 3 things that could be done to change the trajectory of the cost of healthcare system for this country going forward. And I met with the #1 regulator for healthcare in this country and shared with him my book and the 3 policies. And he told me that it would take an act of legislation to implement the most important, because it was enacted into the Affordable Care Act. Mm-hmm. So that would be impossible or highly improbable. Mm-hmm. And so, but through the research of writing the book and the fact that as a company, we were doing $200 million a year in revenue, I paid over 1 million claims. That the biggest cause of the rising cost of healthcare and the bad statistics of the quality of healthcare is because of lack of convenient access to healthcare.
Correct.
And that's up and down the range of economic situations. So somebody who's lower income on Medicaid, all the way up to having concierge medicine for commercial insurance, people wait too late to get diagnosed and to do something about their issue because it's inconvenient to go.
Right.
You go into the emergency room, no one wants to go to the emergency room. To get a doctor appointment takes 2-3 weeks.
Right.
The healthcare system is just a pain in the backside, but through telehealth creates a lot more convenient access point. Mm-hmm. So I decided, okay, I'm going to make it super convenient, but then to get people to do it, I have to make it affordable. So I'm going to do it as cheap as possible. Mm-hmm. So the average telehealth visit now is $80 a visit. Ours is $20 a visit. If you want to do a monthly, you can pay $10 a month for your entire family in your household to have access to telehealth. Those are doctor visits 24/7, and the pharmacy benefit is included, where you get 85% off the cost of medication. Mm-hmm. That's less than $10 a month.
Right.
So my vision is create immense access because it makes it easier through using your cell phone. You see a doctor in 1-2 minutes. And then 2, make it super affordable by making it, less than $10 a month or $20 a visit. And when I set out to do this, it's pre-COVID.
Right.
And at that moment in time, the projection was that 2020 would have 800,000 telehealth visits. And less than 4% of people knew what it was. A month later, COVID hit in March, and now it's the hottest thing in healthcare technology. And instead of 800,000 telehealth visits in 2020, there have been over 1 billion in 2020. So the space has gotten from when I started, it was a white space, meaning no one's doing it. I can kind of just, paint on the canvas, to being super competitive and me having to figure out in this incredibly competitive market now, how do I stand out? How do I get eyeballs and attention to something? And the celebrity factor came to play. We launched in Florida, and on the celebrity side, particularly from our community, Rick Ross stands out as someone who's from Miami, represents Florida in a major way. So I reached out to his camp. He researched me to figure out who was behind it, researched telehealth, and decided he actually wanted to be a part of it as a real partner. And so he and I became partners about 6 weeks ago. And he's been a wonderful partner ever since. So Rick Ross is involved. We also, last week, brought aboard Dr. Jackie from Married to Medicine, which is a show on Bravo of Black women physicians out of Atlanta. So she's now on the team at JetDoc, and we're just putting together momentum to get the word out.
Now, here's the great thing. Now, the doctor visits, are you saying they're $20 and $10, or that's tied to the pharmacies?
It's $20 per visit, or if you pay $10 a month, they're unlimited.
Okay, cool. Now, because I recently went to Emory, and I have Humana. And my doctor visit was like $40. And so I'm just letting everybody know an example of, and believe me, I don't pay $10 per month for Humana. Okay. Let's go and be real about that. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm paying at $40 on top of what I pay Humana. All right. So with the rate that I'm paying, I should be getting it for free. And so you're saying $10 per month, $20 per visit. That right there is a super deal.
That's right.
My closing statement to you and JetDoc and Tommy, how can Rushion McDonald, my platform, Money Making Conversations, I have 92,000 subscribers to my fan club list. I got roughly 1 million social media followers. How would you come to me? I'm not trying to be a partner in your brand. I developed this platform to be able to take entrepreneurs like you and make you're the stars. But also give you a platform. You say, hey man, can you post this for me? Can you post this for me? Because I want to be an asset to you, because that's why I believe that Black entrepreneurship is the key to this country going to the next level. And we also need to understand that we have value. And sometimes we are undervalued because they want to show the negative side of being an African American, male or female. And so that's why I promote HBCUs the way I promote HBCUs. So how can, with JetDoc being a strong telehealth, it's a very competitive field. It wasn't competitive, COVID hit. Now everybody wants to use it. So now how do you slice that line? How can Money Making Conversation help you?
Well, what I want to do is we'll create a promo code for Money Making Conversations, where everyone who puts in your promo code, they'll get their first visit for free.
Okay. Well, I tell you this, we didn't even about that. I would just be honest with you. I'm not trying to look for a discount because you're trying to build a brand. I was saying
no, I appreciate that, Rushabout. I'm also saying I want people to try it.
Right.
You know, and the thing for me is just being open with you. My last exit, we did well.
Yes.
And so I'm not in a rush to make money. I am self-financing it, which, get uncomfortable at times, but
Yes.
I'm not in a rush. What I want to do is get our people into healthcare faster. Right. And the way to do it is make it super convenient and super affordable. So I just want people to try it. And I don't care what it costs. I like people to just try it to get used to it, because like my aunt, she passed away last year. This is a real situation. I can give you 1,000 of these. But this one, you'll have empathy for it. So very sophisticated woman, an attorney for 40 years, ran every day, 5 miles a day. Right. You just catch her running around Palmer Park in Detroit. Super successful, stylish, fashionista, the best conversations, wine connoisseur, just an amazing woman. And so she felt a pain in her back, and she thought it was from running. So she ignored it for a few weeks. Right. Then after a few weeks, she decided maybe she just needed a massage, So she got a massage. And then a few weeks later, it still didn't go away. So she finally called her doctor. And then her doctor said, yeah, maybe just take a rest, don't run, or do, all your aerobics, take off a couple of weeks. She did that, and the pain was still there. So she finally decided to go to the emergency room, and come to find out, after imaging was done, she was like at stage 4. Wow. And then she died 5 months later, and was blessed to live 5 months. So would things have been different if she had went to the doctor the first time? Probably. Now, would she have went to the doctor instead of just doing a massage if she could just do a quick telehealth visit just to talk to a doctor? Probably. Right. And the doctor may have referred her to go to emergency room or go get some imaging done. And it would have been more convenient than, you got to go wait 2 weeks, get in front of a doctor, go in the waiting room, park the car, all the inconveniences of it versus just making it easy. And so it literally can save lives. Right. Well, I'm going to tell you this, Tommy. I'm a cancer survivor, thyroid cancer survivor, and I survived it by going to a doctor and getting a blood test. And so I know what you're saying is truth, and it was funny because the doctor I do my annual visit with, he missed it. And in December, my dentist missed it because thyroid's up here. And so my blood, the person I went to do my blood exam, she said, can I just touch around your throat area? And she said, could I do a biopsy? And that's how, if she didn't do that, I would have went another year. And so no telling what that year, that's what you're saying right there. That year, I might not be on the phone I might not be doing this interview right now because cancer would have been ravaging my system for an additional 10 months. And I may have, like you said, my neck is sore, maybe from lifting weights, or maybe I've just slept with a crook in my neck. That's why it's important to get these opportunities. That's why I wanted to get you on the show to talk about JetDoc. I know that Black people have cell phones, and Black people need to understand the value of the cell phone is not just making phone calls, taking pictures, and texting. It's financial literacy comes out of that phone, and now healthcare can come out of that phone by the form of JetDoc. And we need to understand that. And so my commitment to you and JetDoc
is that I want to help promote it on my social media. I want to feature you on my Motivational Mondays, talk about what you're doing as a brand and your commitment to lower health care and $20 per visit, $10 per month through JetDoc. And it's all about you, my man. You're a HBCU grad. I'm proud to bring on this show and talk to, and your commitment to just changing lives. Like I said, this is self-sponsored financially by you. But we want to turn that around so it can all be good. Entrepreneurship, healthcare industry, JetDoc. Thank you for coming on the show, Tommy.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me, and look forward to being on your show again sometime, man.
Oh, you will. You will. Believe me, man. One thing about me, man, I wanted to bring on the show. I know it's a FAMU show we're putting together, but this is the first of the year. And one time, I know the thing about the first of the year, people tend to listen about their health. They tend to listen about their money because they put in those resolutions. So I want to use this as an inspiration to say JetDoc is a form of a resolution for your health care. And it's a reasonable form of resolution for your health care that you should use and sign up for and register. That's my mentality because I'm a marketer. And so,
no, you're right.
And so
you're 100% right.
Oh, they listen different in January than they listen in June. Okay.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
You can ask any Lifetime Fitness that.
Right. And so I know that having you on the show, getting this aired, and then we getting together, putting some stuff on my social media, putting some stuff in my newsletter, having you back on the show a couple of times a year, different periods, just to let everybody know the progress of JetDoc, let them know it's still out there. Let's build that little crowd of fear. Let's start creating a scene, a JetDoc scene for you, man, and let's keep winning, brother. Now, I want to thank you. I know you're busy down in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Thank you for coming on the show and finding a place to sit down so we can talk.
Hey, I made it happen. It took me a minute, but that's entrepreneurship. I had to stick with it.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Tommy. Thank you for coming on Money Making Conversation.
Thank you.
If you want to hear more Money Making Conversation interviews, please go to moneymakingconversation.com. I'm Rushion McDonald. I am your host.